2 weeks ago, we started a new devotional series through the book When Church Stops Working, a future for your congregation beyond more money, programs, and innovation by Andrew Root and Blair Bertrand. And we're going to be looking at a chapter a week. And last week I was on vacation, but we're starting this up again this week with chapter 1. Now, 2 weeks ago, what we saw is that the authors observed that because most of the Christian church in the United States is in steep decline, it could be said the church is not working. Something is definitely wrong. So a church that is healthy, or a church that is working, is a church that's pursuing Jesus' heart, his way of life, his kingdom mission. And what they said is that that kind of church is not in need of more money, programs, or innovation. In the preface, they state this. They say, this book will discuss why the church is in crisis, offering some suggestions for what we can do about it. Now, let's jump into chapter 1. And the title for chapter 1 is this: Why Your Church Has a Problem. But it isn't what you think. Immediately I'm like, whoa, does that mean my church, Faith Church, has a problem? What about your church? Does it have a problem? Well, I mentioned this 2 weeks ago. The authors are not speaking to any one individual church. They're not attacking us. And so therefore, we should keep an open mind and heart. Maybe their words do apply to our church. We should humbly be praying, Lord, I don't have church all figured out. That goes for many areas in life. We don't have things figured out, and we need you, Lord. We need your help. Remember John 15, verses 1 through 10, where Jesus said, remain in me, and you will bear much fruit. But apart from me, you can do nothing. And so that's our desire, to be teachable, to be humble. And just maybe these authors in this book can help us to learn, to grow. And as they say in the title of chapter 1, their suggestions just might surprise us. Now notice in chapter 1 that right below the title is a subtitle, and it is Church in Crisis, Influence, People, and Beliefs. I wonder what that refers to. Perhaps they believe that the American church can be examined in 3 categories, that we're losing influence on the culture. People are leaving our churches in droves. And thirdly, people sometimes inside the church, but also sometimes outside the church, are not holding to Christian beliefs. Is that the root of the crisis? Or is there something else? What are the authors getting at here? Well, the very first thing they write is this: Make America Great Again. And when I saw that, I thought, oh no, what is going on here? Is this book going to be political? Is it going to be divisive? Well, here's what they explain. At their best, conservatives want to recapture the greatest parts of yesterday, while liberals strive to build progressively toward the future. The authors are saying that both conservatives and liberals are misguided. We can't live in the past, and we don't live in the future. But this is not just an American political or cultural reality. This is a church reality. So no matter if you're more conservative-minded or progressive, liberal-minded, we can fall prey to a scarcity mentality. The authors say, too little influence, too few people, too fragile belief. Both conservatives and liberals believe that the church does not have enough at the moment. Now they illustrate this with our American church's testy relationship with American politics and culture, and how difficult it can be for churches to measure what is success, what is effectiveness in our changing times. Well, the size and amenities of our buildings, the number of people attending worship services, the programs we offer, the money in our bank accounts, they tell us next to nothing about the health of our churches. Neither do effective programs or the way church used to be in the past, or even looking down the street at the so-called successful church. today. What is then a healthy church? If it's none of those things, what is it? The problem is we think we know. If the problem is too little influence, too few people, and too fragile belief, then a healthy church, we believe, is one that is grabbing for more resources and more relevance in our culture. And frankly, I have been I shouldn't say victim, it is my choice to think like that as pastor of Faith Church. If we only had more people attending on Sunday mornings using their gifts and abilities, we could have a full worship band and we could offer more programs and we could have more money coming in and we could employ more staff and we would surely then reach our culture. That's deeply flawed. My line of thinking is wrong. Why? Because the authors suggest this. The lack of influence, people, and belief is a symptom, not a problem. They illustrate this by asking us to think about medical situations. We all have them. We get sick, and we have symptoms. If all we did was treat the symptoms, we would never get to the cause of the problem. And their point is this: the church is sick, but the problem is not decline. The church is sick with secularism. Secularism. You've heard about that. Secular society. What is it? Well, like any sickness, secularism has symptoms and causes. The first symptom of secularism is this. It is the sense that the church and Christianity have less influence in society than they once did. We look around our nation and we know this is true. No matter what you believe about the history of the United States of America and whether it was founded as a Christian nation or built on Christian principles, that just simply is not the case anymore. Our American culture, the people, we Americans have been shedding our Christian beliefs very rapidly over the years. This is a division between the sacred and the secular. In our country, they used to be a lot more merged together, and now not so. That's the first symptom. The second symptom is the division between the public and the private. Have you heard of the rise of the nuns? Surveys about our culture have, in the last 10 plus years, shown us that the rise of the nuns, they are skyrocketing. And nuns is N-O-N-E-S. These are people who declare that they have no connection to any religion. So if they were to answer on a survey, what denomination are you? They would check none. They have been increasing significantly. Now, here's the thing. They're not necessarily atheist or agnostic. Many would call themselves Christian, or many would say they're very spiritual. Their expression of faith, though, is private. They do not get connected to any kind of organized religion. That brings us to the third symptom of secularism. It's the sense that belief itself has changed. Now, in this section, the authors dive into some philosophical and theological reasoning, but if you stay with them, I think it's very clear what they mean. They say that belief has changed to the point where it is now possible to not believe in God. So, if symptom number one is the divide between the secular and sacred, and symptom number two is the divide between public and private faith, symptom number three is about changing beliefs. It's the divide between the immanent and the transcendent. Now, stay with me. These are concepts we don't normally talk about, but they're very familiar. The immanent is the stuff of the world. We can touch it, taste it, feel it. We push on a rock and it starts to roll. Cause and effect. The transcendent, however, it is what is beyond our senses. We would refer to it as the mystical, the supernatural, the world of spirits. God, demons, angels, forces. Well, our American culture in recent years has been significantly reducing our belief in the transcendent. We're becoming much more focused on the immanent, what we can touch, what we can feel, what is right there around us, making us more secular than sacred. So, if our sickness is secularism, these divides between the secular and the sacred, the public and private, the immanent and the transcendent, how should a church respond? Well, the authors write this. If you want a healthy church, you're going to need to imagine a cure that doesn't depend on the secular age. That means we need to have an imagination for something that is uniquely and squarely like Jesus. One of the things they say is it's hard for us to have that imagination because we're so busy. Even well-meaning Christians in our culture, just utterly busy. Instead, we need to find resonance, they say. Resonance, they write, is an experience of fullness, of being in sync, of being so present to someone or to something else that we feel like we've discovered ourselves again. Kind of sounds amazing, doesn't it? Resonance is what Jesus called the abundant life in John 10:10. It's the concept of shalom in the Hebrew Old Testament. And that's more than just peace. It is a flourishing, a wholeness between ourselves and God and creation and others. And it's beautiful. It's what God desires for human flourishing. And so the authors move into this final section, resonance at work and love. They want us to understand about how important it is for churches, if they want to be healthy in a secular world, to pursue resonance. Resonance means resonant moments, they write, give us a sense of purpose and meaning that is difficult to articulate, but that we know at some deep level is true and right and good. Life must have resonance. Otherwise, it's just busyness. I've been concerned for many years about how busy church is. Faith church, so busy. And over the years, we have tried to simplify. But that simplification is difficult because when we're busy and we accomplish something, we get this sense of satisfaction that can make us feel good. But what we need is resonance. Resonance is deeper. It's relationship. It's that time of putting ourselves with the other, listening to the other, supporting and caring and loving the other. It's sacrificial. It's messy sometimes. But it is in those relationships that we find resonance. We're going to keep talking more about that. But I want to conclude by just asking you, does that sense of resonance, that sense of wholeness, shalom, abundant life, speak to you as what the church should be? Let's pursue that. Thank you.